Today I'm going to show you all how to make this popular Indian sweet treat. Jalebi is a popular sweet treat originating from the Indian subcontinent. The batter is made from a mixture of flour, yogurt and water, which is fermented overnight to create a slightly sour flavor. Piped into hot oil in a circular shape, it's fried until crispy. Jalebi is soaked in a sugar syrup, which is sometimes flavored with spices and aromatic ingredients. Its distinctive spiral shape and bright color make it visually appealing. Jalebi has a crispy exterior and a soft syrup-soaked interior, offering a delightful texture and flavor combination. It's typically served as a dessert or snack. Jalebi is cherished as a beloved dessert. Alright, so the first step for jalebi is to mix the batter. So I like to start with my wet ingredients because you know sometimes when you add the dry ingredients first, they tend to stick to the bottom and the corners and clump up. So I'm adding my water first, then my yogurt. This is plain yogurt. Yogurt is what gives jalebi its tangy flavor, and this also aids in the fermentation process as well. Nice, and give that a mix. Next, going in with our orange food coloring, and of course, you know this is what gives it its distinct color. Next, we're going in with some baking soda. This helps to give it a light, airy texture when fried. Get that all mixed up. Let's get our coloring fully dissolved and incorporated in the liquid. Alright, and next we're going in with some cornstarch. Now as a fried product, I mean, cornstarch is what gives it that crispy texture. Give that a good mix. Already starting to thicken up. Right, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep stirring and just go in with my flour. This is just regular all-purpose flour. Now you want a thick batter. You don't want it too runny. And I guess the main reason for that is, one, the consistency of the fried product, and two, when you're piping it out, you want it to hold on to each other so that it could help to hold its shape when you're swirling it in. It's always good to add less water because remember you could always add. And continue. And from here you're really going by eyesight because I say you want it thick enough so that it can be easily piped out, but not too runny so that it runs out of your piping apparatus. You want to be able to shape it into that spiral shape rather than it just run out of your piping apparatus and you know you end up with a messy fried jalebi. Right, so from here you could transfer it directly into your piping apparatus. I'm using a condiment bottle, or you can let it ferment overnight. Traditionally you will let it ferment overnight or for a minimum of 6 to 8 hours. Why? Because right now, while it's perfectly fine to fry right now, when you let it ferment, you allow the flavor to develop even further and intensify. You allow the ingredients to marry, combine. You allow the yogurt to ferment all the other ingredients. It's going to take the flavor up a notch by just applying some patience and letting it ferment overnight. So what I did, I went ahead and I fermented some overnight. So let me show you. Let me just switch this out. And here you have, this is actually half of the recipe. Let me get another fork to show you the consistency, because when you ferment it, what happens is it springs even more liquid. So you see the difference in consistency here. Let me just move this and bring this up next to each other and show you. So let me stir this one first so you can see the consistency. So you can see the difference. Now last night the fermented one was as thick as this and it sprung liquid. Now if you do this side by side and you put your nose, this one here that we just mixed, you will smell the yogurt, you will smell the flavor of it, the tanginess. But if you put your nose next to the fermented one, it's going to be a lot more prevalent. You're going to smell the difference. I mean, it's undeniable. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to set this aside, grab a funnel, and transfer this into our piping apparatus and then make our simple syrup. Pour it over and let gravity do the rest. All right, so now we're gonna make our simple syrup. So simple syrup is a very simple recipe. It's basically 1 part water, 2 parts sugar. In this case, white sugar or granulated sugar. And you want to keep this warm because you want your jalebi to be added to this while it's warm, just to make the absorption process a lot easier. And just to add some flavor, I'm going in with some crushed cardamom pods. So I'm just stirring until the sugar is fully dissolved. Once the sugar is fully dissolved, you switch off and we'll move on to our frying of the jalebi. So let's just do a quick check. So you're seeing 355 Fahrenheit. So that's what you're looking for, anything around 350. So if you don't have a fancy thermometer gun, you can just take a toothpick and fry the toothpick. And once you see how the air bubbles, so just like how food is looking when it's frying, where the moisture trying to escape, this is a very affordable, easy way to tell you if the oil is ready. All right, so that's our cue. In terms of size for your jalebi, that is totally up to you. You know, we see some selling huge, almost the size of this frying pan, and then you see some small individual ones. So it's really up to you and the size you want to go. So for this, I'm gonna just well, you know what? I'll show you a couple different sizes. So we'll start with some small ones. And just like if you're frying anything else, key signs to look for is these bubbles. When these bubbles begin to dissipate, that is a sign that it's time to flip and your jalebi is more or less fully cooked. Right, and we're gonna let this fry until we basically see almost no bubbles. We want this as crispy as possible before it goes into our simple syrup. All right, so these are ready to come out. So you can see almost no bubbles, minimal moisture evaporation taking place. So I'm just going to take it out and transfer it to this wire rack just to allow some of the excess oil to drain off before we submerge them into our simple syrup. All right, so while this is draining off, you could get a next set. Alright, so I did this one a little bigger for you all to see. Do one more the same size. So the size is really up to you all. So we're going in to so much we could get all to fit. Alright, I'll just leave these 3 for now. Let me just bring it a little closer for you all. So what you want to do, you want to just submerge them in your simple syrup because you want it to absorb as much of that simple syrup as possible, get that cardamom flavor. And you want to do this while your jalebi is hot and while the simple syrup is warm. That is going to allow the jalebi to absorb as much of the simple syrup or the flavored simple syrup as possible. All right, so we're going to let this sit here and finish fry off the rest of the jalebi and then plate up and show you all. We have reached the end. What I did, I just garnished it with some chopped pistachios, really just to help bring out the color. But I mean, it's really up to you what you want to garnish it with, and also, again, what you want to flavor your simple syrup with. Yeah, so there's only one thing left to do now. Time to eat. Let's see. Really how crunchy, guys. That's the texture you're looking for. Crunchy texture, sweet, Moorish, warm flavor. I mean, for me, cardamom is everything in dessert. It gives you that, you know, those earthy tones, warm, Moorish types of taste and flavor. But again, you know, a lot of people flavor it with rose water or a little lemon juice or a little ginger as well. So You know, the simple syrup is something you could play around with. And the chopped pistachios just add even more crunch to it as well. Yo, thanks again for joining us. As always, please send us your pics, DM us for any recipe related questions. You know, we always love to hear from you all. Like this video and subscribe if you already unsubscribed to us. All right, thanks, bye.